Happy Friday. This is week 10 for practicum placement. As per Tim's recommendation, Erica has fully submerged me into navigating the ship of all three periods. It's been a really good one, I won't lie. We have worked on braiding with our juniors, and our seniors have moved along to curl sets with thermal irons and working on updos. And with the younger groups, we split them up into two as we're kind of just getting into hairstyling as a whole. So we split the class into two groups. The ones that tend to get their theory work done um, significantly sooner, or they're just more reliable in making sure that the theory is done. Those are the ones that did hands-on first, and we had the lollygaggers, or the ones that might be a little bit more frequently absent. We had them start on the textbook work to get some of the theory questions out of the way, and kind of dangling the carrot of hands-on for them to finish the questions so they could be hands-on the following day. So we introduced them to French braiding, which is an attached braid right to the scalp. And there were a few that did not even know how to do a regular 3-strand braid. So, we certainly worked with them, and, I kept reminding them, you have to crawl before you can walk. And so we went through the motions and really, really broke it down step by step. And we made some significant progress. So I would say that I had a bit of a proud mom moment. On day 2 of braiding, I had 3 students that at the beginning of day 1 could not do a simple 3-strand braid. And by the end of day 2, they were doing French braids on their own. They might not have been the absolute best or cleanest, but they were doing them, and that was pretty remarkable. So, I shed a tear because, here I'm working with you, and we got through this battle, if you will. It was really, really instrumental that there were 2 of us in the room, because I was able to work a bit closer with those students that were very new to the concept of braiding and French braiding. If I didn't have the luxury of Miss Bolton also circling the room for the other students' support, I don't know if I would have had as quick of a success, because there were those moments where students were on the brink of getting it. And someone's in the background, miss, and you gotta just kind of tell them, give me a couple minutes, we're working on something here. Because I knew that if I walked away from the student that was on the brink of acquiring this new skill and really connecting and getting it, if I walked away from them, they'd probably give up and be like, I can't do this, So we persevered and we got through it, and it was really awesome and exciting, and they were equally as excited, and I think they could feel my excitement for them. And I kept telling the whole class as a whole, you guys are a bunch of rock stars, that you're doing super, super well with this task. And we have one young man in one of our junior periods, and why do I have to do this? And Bryce, you're getting dexterity in your fingers. We're teaching your fingers to move in different ways that they're not used to. And you never know, one day you might have a partner that needs help with their hair, or you might find yourself with children one day and you might need to braid their hair, and you will get brownie points for being able to French braid their hair, I assure you. So, he was pretty good about it. He's a trooper, and he does them relatively well. He does them, so I was really proud of him for trucking along with us. And with our senior, and with those juniors and the braiding, we're going to be doing a practical test probably next week. Um, Actually, we are doing it next week. I shouldn't say probably. We know that we're doing a practical test next week. They know that it's coming. We're giving them one more day next week to practice their skills. So that way they have a little bit more confidence. I let all of them know if anyone lives at home with long hair, you are encouraged to practice. And a few of them definitely have taken that advice, and it shows. Um, and we're making them take pictures all along the way. On day one, when I said take a picture of your braid, they were all like, "Miss, they're terrible." And I'm like, "I want this is going to be the worst braid you do, I promise you. That's the point. And take a picture of braids at the end of the semester and you'll see how far you've come." And they're trusting the process, and I can appreciate that about them. And then our seniors, I had paired them off in very unlikely groups. I picked complete opposing personalities and paired them off. I didn't have anyone challenge me, which was fabulous. But Jayla, have you worked with Cedra before? No? Perfect. You guys are pairing off today. And we did a curling exercise where one did half of the head, one did the other half, and they had to kind of work as a team. And that was really great. And then we introduced them to updo techniques. I introduced them to updo techniques. And something Miss Bolton had suggested, I was doing a demonstration with a mannequin at the front of the class. And as a professional, when you're going to classes that are for professionals, the person that's doing the demonstration, the stage artist, there's an art to being able to do techniques and allow your audience to see. And so I was essentially trying to show them these updo techniques while standing on the other side of the mannequin, but the updo turns out a lot better if you're standing right behind your work. Anything turns out better when you're standing right behind your work. And especially because we kind of broke them up into groups, Miss Bolton suggested, stand in front of your work, because with these guys, they're picking up what you're doing. And I guess I hadn't really thought of it that way. I really wanted them to see what it is that my hands are doing, but there's value in understanding where my body positioning is when I'm doing these things. So, for future reference, her advice was do it the way that you would normally do it, the way that you want them to do it, and just tell them, move. If you're looking at my back, who's back there? Move. Get a good view. So that was definitely helpful, and it makes a lot of sense, but again, coming from industry, I was trying to do it more the industry proper way, if you will. So we had them working on some updo techniques and curling, and the two of them worked on an updo together. It was really cool to have them collaborate. I said, Cedra, you put a pin on this side, and Jayla, you put a pin on this side. Now you guys switch so that there's more cohesive flow, because it's not one way of doing things and another way of doing things. And they turned out really great for being their first updos. I was very impressed. And they ended up having a client day just yesterday, which was fabulous. They all did really, really well. They were very professional. Everyone finished on time. They took direction well. They really didn't need much in the way of direction. They all focused on the task. They were very excited. The energy was amped, and we very much look forward to proceeding with more client days in the future. And something Miss Bolton brought to my attention was the fact that she typically will introduce aesthetics before she gets into hair. Our grade 9s do makeup, grade 10s do manicures, and 11s did manicures as well. But we'll probably move forward doing facials with the senior group. And the reason why she breaks them up that way is because there's only so many hair stations in the class. And so if you give them a different skill initially, when it comes to client day, some of them will not require a hair station. They actually are using a manicure table or the makeup chair, which is exactly what happened on Thursday yesterday. So that was really great. Really, really great. I did start my SLP project on Wednesday, and I'm a little bit nervous. I chose a very challenging organization to work with, and I kind of knew that going in. However, it was very different than what I had expected. I was told I would have 15 girls. I bought materials for 15 people. Um, and I had three. I had a fourth show up midway. She was finishing work, so she shows up to the household there. But the three were very, very challenging. Very challenging. Um, Definitely testing my patience. It's a little bit humbling in the sense that I'm not their teacher. I'm not paying them with grades. They don't really have to be there. I'm a guest in their space. And they're a little bit abrasive and quite challenging. I realized after the first day, I informed the director that it was my intention to spend one day on hair, one day on skin, one day on nails, and I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but I wanted to, in our first night, the introduction night, kind of expose them to what my plan was, but to see if there was anything specific that they would like to learn or know. Challenging because there was only three, so they certainly, or there was a fourth, who kind of dominated where this will go for the next 4 weeks. But I realized when I left that I had made an error, and when it comes to very challenging individuals, they don't need autonomy, they need direction. And I made a mistake in thinking that giving them a bit of autonomy as to how the next few days will go that we're together, um, I allowed them to navigate the ship more than I maybe should have. And so now I need to carry on with my best foot forward. I realize that I will likely never have a class of exclusively challenging individuals, but I'm here now. I'm being tested in my character and in my patience, and I will proceed with grace. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So I very much look forward to tomorrow's breakfast club and kind of rally with Tim as to how I move forward in the most graceful fashion. And yeah, just looking forward to wrapping up our online courses and having a little bit more time to focus on the fact that I am now the classroom teacher and I am also committed to the next 4 weeks of these challenging individuals. So, on that note, night, y'all.